I came in, I was really enamored by like the visuals. It was beautiful.
I don't see a technical conference out there that infuses culture, authenticity, local origins where you get a taste or a sense of that particular a city that you're in and gives great education. And I truly believe that being able to do that here in ATL is one of the a few only places in the whole world where that is possible because we do that each and every single day. You want to think about what are the catalysts over time that usually bring people into a unison. And over time, I mean, from the dawn of man until now, things that have usually brought people to the same table to talk about ideas was a music and a food.
And I always say Atlanta has always been positioned as like the cultural capital of the South, to be honest, right? But now I feel like there are conferences like Render ATL that's really helping amplify it as a tech hub.
Whereas we created what we now call a a South, where our goal is to make the Southeast the next bigger thing out here. It's okay to want to talk about your accomplishments and to brag about your wins. I feel like a society has this view that if you are talking about your accomplishments, you are bragging, but in actuality, you aren't. I always think about that quote because I'm like, if so many people could come from that one island and spread culture all over the entire world, um, we could also do the exact same thing with our small company and spread culture of technology, being inclusive for everybody across the whole globe too.
Welcome to this episode of How Do You Divine, a show where we explore how the words that craft our lives are defined in every single season. And when you think about the future of tech, culture, and community, and how it collides in one space, you think of Render ATL. And at the heart of that movement is a visionary who saw Atlanta not just for the culture, but for its innovation. Today, I am honored to sit down with the man behind it all, Justin E. Samuels, founder of Render ATL, to talk about his journey, the movement, and what it really takes to build something that shifts narratives and inspires generations. Justin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that great introduction.
Yes, because I think what you've built with Render ATL deserves so much more platform, right? You guys were just recognized at Inc. 5000, and I just think the recognitions will only come more and more over the years because being in the space, I was fortunate enough to be at Render ATL this year, and to me, it really was a game changer for various different reasons. As someone who works
Really?
in the technology space, I came in, I was really enamored by like the visuals. It was beautiful. It was pretty, like I'm a marketing girl at heart. So all of the branding and everything, it was very inviting, right? Many conferences online do a great jobs with reels and things like that, but that aesthetic sometimes doesn't transcend into like real life. You get there and it looks like, yeah, this was just a building yesterday. Um,
Yeah.
but Render really felt like, oh, this is Render ATL. Like they have everything branded to the pillars, to everything. So I really love that. Right. So I left Atlanta feeling like, wow, I need to learn more about this. So just jumping into your story, when Render ATL started as a vision, now grown into one of the largest tech culture gatherings in the South. What personal experiences or challenges pushed you to launch it? When was the first moment you said, this needs to be made?
Yeah, the catalyst for us was I wanted to create a technology conference that allowed people from all cultures, all walks of life to come, fellowship, but also learn a lot while they are at our event every year. I'm an engineer by trade, and most of the conferences or events that we get invited to usually are the exact same in nature. You got an open room, you got a boring food. It's just,
Cold food, as I call it.
yeah, it's just a very boring. And I said, well, I don't see a technical conference out there, not a tech conference, but the actual technical part of the word, a technology. I
Mm.
don't see a technical conference out there that infuses culture, authenticity, local origins where you get a taste or a sense of the particular a city that you're in and gives great education. And I truly believe that being able to do that here in ATL is one of the a few only places in the whole world where that is possible because we do that each and every single day. If you come here, everything I just talked about, everything I just hit on, you can authentically see it happening here each and every day.
No, I agree 100%. And you touched on this as being as an engineer,
Mhm.
right? That word render, because here at the podcast we believe in the definitions of words transform. The word render has both a traditional and transformative meaning to you. Why render when you thought about this vision?
Yeah, so Render began as a React JavaScript conference. At the time when I began the conference, React was a new kid on the block. Well, I'm not gonna say new per se. It was more the kind of a seasoned kid. It was around for about 5 years at the time, so it was still a lot of hotness around it. So usually every single region has their own React conference. For some reason, everybody skipped over the whole Southeast. So I said, "Oh, I'm gonna have our own." And most people will just put the name, put the a framework in the name, like
Yeah.
React NYC or React LA. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of lame. So I just rattled my brain and I said,
Yes.
"Oh, render is in part of the React framework.
Yes.
Let's go with that." So that's how the name came to be. And over time, I love to see our audience find different names or meanings for it.
Meaning.
And we call our audience the radicals because of the rings that go around the peach.
Yes.
So I truly love watching the radicals find new ways to integrate what the meaning is into their day-to-day or their engineering life.
Yes, I loved it. And when I first thought about render, I was like, "Oh, are they rendering code? What's happening here?" Because when from like a technical standpoint, but again, that level of intentionality when you were even creating this vision is very clear, right? So
Mhm,
render ATL is also known to blend, like we talked about, that deep technical content, but also music and culture.
mhm.
Why was that important to you to create a space that went a little bit beyond that traditional tech? And how do you maintain that balance?
You want to think about what are the catalysts over time that usually bring people into a unison. And over time, I mean, from the dawn of man until now, things that have usually brought people to the same table to talk about ideas was a music and a food.
Yeah.
And music and a food can be identified as one particular word, which is culture. So with that, we wanted a way to bring everyone into one building for one particular week, for one particular conference.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to do that is to go back to that sociology or a psychological mindset is you will come to the conference because you enjoy good food. You will come to the conference because you enjoy good music. And because of that, that has helped make us successful over the years.
Yeah, for sure. And I always say Atlanta has always been positioned as like the cultural capital of the South, to be honest, right? But now I feel like there are conferences like Render ATL that's really helping amplify it as a tech hub,
Mhm.
right? Truly shifting that narrative. What are
Yep.
some barriers that you still think are there in the region to get Atlanta to become the key place for tech founders?
I think the biggest thing is a sense of a bias where not all investors or professionals in technology view the Southeast as the next hub for the next innovative brand, whether it's your next Uber or your next Google or your next
Yeah.
Twitter. They only view one place, which is a Silicon Valley, as that holy site. Whereas we created what we now call the a South, where our goal is to make the Southeast the next big thing out here.
Mhm.
And rightfully so, we understand if we're able to change what their perception is of what the Southeast has to offer in the world of tech, it will then lead to dollar signs later on in more in investment, not for our company per se, but for all the other entrepreneurs
Yes.
located in the Southeast.
Yep, I agree. I agree 100%. Every time I'm in Atlanta, I feel like I make it a personal mission, right? To connect with other founders and tech builders in that region because I agree that Silicon Valley, while great, does not have the next best thing, honestly. I really do believe it's in the South. And as someone who lives in New York, I think from a certain standpoint, we have more fashion driven pop culture that will come from New York, but tech innovation, I think, will come from the South. A
Yeah,
100%. 100%.
absolutely, absolutely. And I feel like the South has their a finger on the culture more,
Yes.
so it allows them to adapt quicker and be more impactful when it comes to consumer sentiments and buying a power.
Yes, because long gone are the days of brand loyalty based on metrics. It's all about
Absolutely.
sentiment and that nostalgic feeling and really knowing what a brand is about, even if you're serving from a text standpoint, right? I always say that SaaS just solves problems via automation and, in a tech space, but problems are solved at a brand level, right? And largely not only for their audience, but everyone that audience touches. So I agree 100% that the South will definitely be the next big thing. So as a founder, you've navigated building teams, raising capital, delivering on visions that many might have not understood at first, right?
Mhm. I
What's been some of those leadership lessons you've learned along the way? Give us some of those gems.
think the number one thing is if you want to go afar, build a team. If you want to go fast, go alone, which is extremely true. And understand that in the early days, it's going to be a lot of work, a lot of discipline, a lot of burning both ends of the candle, but you are striving towards something great that really requires more energy and effort beyond yourself. So
Uh,
keep that in mind that if you want to build a thing that you are passionate about fast, go alone. and you rightfully should go alone in your early days. But after that, you need to build a team that believes in your vision and can execute upon your vision. The other thing, um, it's okay to want to talk about your accomplishments and to brag about your wins. I feel like a society has this view that if you are talking about your accomplishments, you are bragging, but in actuality, you aren't. You're just praising yourself for those late nights, sleepless nights. Whereas if the other person had the opportunity to, they also would too. So that being said, I celebrate your wins and make sure you celebrate the wins of others too, because at times that's all you can have.
Oh, that was, listen, I feel like you was preaching to me on that one. I love that. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. So where do you see Render ATL in 5 years? Is it
I
about
see just
scale or is it about bigger stages, global reach, deepen the impact? Like I feel like there's so in my mind as a strategist, I see Render ATL going like this, like tentacles spreading so wide, right? So I'd love to hear from you. Where do you see it in 5 years?
I think you hit the nail on the head. We're going to start to spread our tentacles more. We're going to start to work with more people, more organizations. Immunity cannot exist in a silo.
Mm,
Um, and if you try to make it exist like that, uh, the effects of that are usually detrimental to your organization and to everybody else involved. We usually I see this play out on a world stage more with like isolated kingdoms or countries like North Korea or Cuba, uh,
yes.
where isolation does not bring out the best in innovation. So you hit the nail on the head, which is community cannot exist in a vacuum, and we're about to start branching out and engaging with other ecosystems and expand by having more events elsewhere and like new offerings that people could then engage with the brand 365 rather than only 4 or 5 days out the week. I mean, out the whole year.
Yeah. Nice. I'm excited. I'm locked and loaded and listening. I love it. I love it. So, here at How Do You Define, I love music. I feel like music moves our souls, right? It helps us
Absolutely
through,
does.
listen, it helps us through the rough times. It boosts us up in the, hype you up or during the great times.
Yep. Sure does.
So, what song do you think best captures the vibe of Render ATL?
I don't think it's a song, it's an album.
Ooh, see,
It would
that's
have
how I
to
know you
be
really about music because you said album. A lot of these people nowadays just, they're about these singles. I'm an album girl myself.
I I think if I had to choose an album that I've been jamming to, which was probably the best concert I've gone to in the last 5 years, which would be the Beyonce Renaissance tour. It was great. I think that album represents where the brand is at right now. Um, literally with the word Renaissance, but also figuratively, where we want to bring joy and a soul and conviction to people. In the early days, I was kind of more my a Jay-Z, a Reasonable Doubt, a Blueprint
We
type of
find out we got the same
stuff.
playlist.
And I don't think you could always be that way. I mean, it's a reason why he made those albums. He made Kingdom Cut and he jumped over and made 444 and he evolved over time. It's kind of like what he said, you want the old hoe, buy my old album. Right.
Yes.
And it's like you cannot always be the same person you were over the years. And where the conference and the brand is at now is in a more joyous place. It's
Yes.
a revolution. It's a renaissance. And excited to have everybody join us.
I love that. As soon as you said that, the song that immediately came to my mind is "Who They Came to See Me." Who they rep like me? Don't let me get up out my seat. As soon as you said the Renaissance, I was like, I feel that. My house.
That's funny. That's funny. That's funny.
For sure. So I love that. So 10, we talked about where we'd be in 5 years from now, right? But in 10 years, right? I always feel like when you create a brand, when you create a movement, you're thinking of legacy.
Mhm.
So I want to leave you with this last question. If someone was to ask you about Render ATL 10, 20 years from now, we just talked about the evolution, right? If this is not, this is not your blueprint. This is probably I'm trying to think what album this would be for you. What Jay-Z album would this be for you?
In the next 10 years,
Yes. What do
10
you think
years,
would be the first thing that comes to mind when they
if
hear Render ATL?
we're going off of Jay-Z albums, 10 years would be a Magna Carta Holy Grail.
Mm,
And in between, will say in between now and the next 10 years, you will get a watch the throne a moment from us working with other brands. So I think for us, the next big thing or the next legacy we want to live is that we've built an ecosystem that is inclusive and welcoming of all, not just a few.
yeah.
Um, Kind of like the Jamaican coat of arms, um,
Out
where
of many.
yep, out of many, and it's I always think about that quote because I'm like, if so many people could come from that one island and spread culture all over the entire world. Um, we could also do the exact same thing with our small company and spread culture of technology, being inclusive for everybody across the whole globe too.
Yes, I agree so much. And like they say, out of many, one people, you really close this out really well, saying that Render ATL is an inclusive place, not for the few, but for the many, for the engineer to the sales rep to all of go to market, right? Um, and I'm really honored to have you on the podcast. And this is
Thank you a ton for having me. And it's like we say, it's a render is a place where talent feels welcomed, and we want everybody to feel welcomed.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you for
this
having me.
is How Do You Divine Render?
Thank you.